Hey there guys, welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show where we talk about movies and I answer your questions, and this is every Tuesday night. Which time every Tuesday? I'm not quite sure. I sort of make it up as I go, but I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys brought your popcorn, something cold to drink, 3 ice cubes, no more, no less. You know how it goes. And big thanks to an early super chat from Gambit X, much appreciated. But there's a lot of things I want to talk about today, and the main topic I want to talk about, which came out like 5 or 6 days ago, but it doesn't matter. This isn't the most topical movie news show. It's just the things I want to talk about relating to movies. And that's Robert Pattinson working out. And I never thought I would make a video about Robert Pattinson's muscle mass or definition. It's kind of a weird thing. What am I doing now with my life? I don't know. But yeah, let's just dive into that, and then we'll answer all of the questions. So Robert Pattinson was quoted in a GQ article saying, Robert Pattinson reveals that while Warner Brothers hired him a personal trainer and provided the actor with gym equipment so he can keep up the fitness for the role of Bruce Wayne, in reality, he has barely done anything. For him, he said, that was a choice about not getting fully ripped for the role, because if you're working out all the time, you're part of the problem. You set a precedent. No one was doing this in the 70s, even James Dean. He wasn't exactly ripped, and that comes from GQ magazine. Well, James Dean wasn't playing Batman, now was he? But let's back up for a second. Do I think we should take this with a grain of salt? Do I think this is Robert Pattinson maybe just joking around and not taking himself too seriously? Probably. And the reason I say that is because many months ago, when they were prepping for the pre-production of The Batman, which comes out October 2021, there was this image released right here. And once again, it's just weird that I'm showing pictures of shirtless Robert Pattinson. Like, who would have ever thought we'd be here? But yeah, you had this picture right here of Robert Pattinson working out on a beach, covered in baby oil, running down the beach. What a glorious time he's having right there. But he's clearly working out for the role of the Batman. He wants to get in shape. We don't want a skinny Batman. We don't want Christian Bale from The Machinist Batman. And right there, if you look at Robert Pattinson, he's in good shape. You put the Batman gear on him. You put the cape, the cowl, the huge shoulder pads. You're gonna have a version of Batman, I believe, that can kick some ass as a vigilante of justice. So yeah, I think Robert Pattinson was more or less trolling. A lot of people on the internet probably that the humor went over their heads. But I think he's joking. Clearly, he was getting in shape for the role. I think he will be an amazing Batman. And once again, that's something I probably wouldn't have said just 2 years ago. But after watching movies like Good Time and The Lighthouse, the dude can act. And I can see him playing a young Bruce Wayne Batman in his second year of becoming the vigilante of the night. So yeah, I think people blew this out of proportion. And for me, listen, when it comes to Batman, If Robert Pattinson truly was not going to work out, if he was going to stay at 155 pounds as a skinny, malnourished-looking Batman, is that believable? No. And I don't like that, because when it comes to Batman, he's the specimen of perfection. You have to believe that an actor portraying this fictional character, you have to blend the lines of reality and fiction as much as you can. And I think that would be a detriment to the character. I mean, if you look back in time at Christian Bale, when Christian Bale was first hired to play Batman in Batman Begins, the dude got so big that Nolan told him to lose weight because he was too big for the actual suit. And he wanted him to actually trim down to be a smaller, leaner version of Batman, which I think that's a testament to Christian Bale, because the guy will do anything for a role. Judging by the thumbnail of this video, you saw him as the Machinist. And then after that, you had The Dark Knight Rises, and then you had someone, not Batman, but you had Tom Hardy playing the villain, Bane. And Tom Hardy went for it. He started working out. He gained like 30 or 40 pounds to put on as much mass as he could to be a believable incarnation of the character of Bane. I'm sure he did some extra stuff along the way. We're not going to talk about that right now on YouTube. But suffice it to say, he got as big as he possibly and humanly could for the character of Bane. And then you had Ben Affleck. He was the truest incarnation we've actually had. If you want to compare weight and height, he was the best representation we've ever had of a real life Batman compared to the comic book version of Batman. 250 pounds, 6'4". Ben Affleck was perfect perfect for that. And he also went to the gym for months on end to get in shape for the role. So going back to what I originally said, I think Robert Pattinson was trolling the reporter. I think maybe he's been lazy during quarantine and maybe not working out as much as he probably should. But yeah, he's definitely going to be in shape for the role of Batman. So those are my quick thoughts on it. I had a lot of people asking about that, and those are that's my 2 cents on it. I think it will be fine. I think we'll be okay. And I don't think Batman's going to be a 140-pound version of Robert Pattinson. I think it'll be okay. So everyone just calm down. So with all of that said, we can dive into the questions and talk about whatever random movie news topics you guys want to talk about, or you guys can share your thoughts on Robert Pattinson not working out for the role of Batman. I want to know what you guys think. Iron Wolf says Bale was crazy dedicated. Bale gets crazy dedicated to whatever role he wants to play. Who would have ever thought Christian Bale could be Dick Cheney? But the dude gained 100 pounds, ate ice cream every day, and he looked like Dick Cheney. I don't know. I think all of that's going to take a toll eventually on Christian Bale's body. I mean, the guy goes from losing 100 pounds to gaining 100 pounds. It's incredible. Someone said skinny vampire. Yes. Fat Thor was great enough. Yeah, the thing about Fat Thor, though, was that was a prosthetic suit. He didn't actually gain any actual weight for it. Rob K, I don't want a fat Batman. Well, I don't think we're going to get a fat Batman. The problem would be getting a skinny Batman. That's almost worse. Then you have Gambit X here. Thank you for the super chat. What are your thoughts on using CG instead of real stunts? Practical stunts are always better. If you look at films like Fallout, if you look at any Nolan film, anytime they can utilize practical effects, they do. And it always just puts you on the edge of your seat a little bit more. Whenever you feel like there's a whole bunch of characters standing in front of a green screen, it sort of just takes you out of the movie just a little bit. Actually, sometimes a lot. But whenever you know there's practical effects involved, you feel like there's an element of danger, an element of reality, and it immerses you into that movie, and that's what I love about it. So yeah, I think the best practical effect stunt film in probably the last decade would probably be Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible Fallout. Yeah, and the other thing they do, here's the newest trend though. Whenever you use practical effects in a movie, they have to make an entire campaign on social media showing the behind the scenes of it before the movie ever comes out to let you know that this isn't some green screen bullshit. They actually did do these things. Tom Cruise was actually flying a helicopter and dangling from the bottom of it, and they show all these behind the scenes footage of the practical stunts actually happening before the movie comes out. And I find that fascinating, but it's sad that we have to do that to show people that it's not just lazy green screen special effects. So yeah, that's a new trend I've noticed. Anytime they do that, they show the behind the scenes footage long before the movie's released. The next one comes from Azim, The Dream Reviews. John, do you think franchises should transition to TV series like Cobra Kai, or do you think movies are better, people don't watch TV series a lot? It just depends if there's a franchise that can transition to a TV show. Like Cobra Kai is one of those that works out. Who would have ever thought you'd have a compelling TV show about Cobra Kai? Actually, as a kid, I always wanted that. I dreamed about that for many years because Johnny was so fascinating to me. And I was like, why are we rooting for Danielson? He's sort of a little jerkwad. So yeah, it depends on the franchise. It really depends. So there's some that absolutely would not work, but there's some that would. It just depends. Like if you want to take like a franchise like Jurassic World, for example, and transition that into a TV show, do I think that would work? Probably not, unless it was the most expensive TV show ever made. It would just be too expensive and too extravagant for a TV series. Carter Lovejoy. I'll have 2 number 9s, number 9 large, a number 6 with extra chips, a number 7, number 45s, 1 cheese, and large soda, big smoke. Well, thank you for that amazing movie quote there, man. Hi to all the YouTube members joining. We have Russ Rogers. We have... Jesus. Who else is enjoying... come on, chat. Catch up. All right. The next one comes from Brevins Flicks and Games. Hey, John. Hope you're doing good, bro. Robert Pattinson. Hope doesn't mess up Batman. Also, after watching Silence of the Lambs, I wanted to know, what do you love the most about the film? What do I love most about Silence of the Lambs? Where do I even begin with that? Silence of the Lambs to me is one of the best screenplays ever written. I think there's nearly it's nearly perfect in every way. It's the perfect screenplay. It has the right amount of everything blended together to keep the pace of the film going. And the other thing about it is the characters in the film. Amazing characters. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter only has a total of like 9 minutes of screen time in that 2-hour movie. But you don't think of that when you watch the film. You feel like he was a major part of the film because he had such a screen presence that he steals every scene that he's in. And then you had other characters like Buffalo Bill, one of the scariest, creepiest movie characters of all time. And the best thing about Silence of the Lambs, the reason it terrifies me to this day, is unlike other fantastical horror films or thrillers where you have like a ghost that pops out of books or haunts your dreams or some crazy bullshit like that. In reality, there are people like Buffalo Bill. If you go to the wrong part of town and help someone put a couch in the back of their van, you could end up in their well down in their basement. It's kind of scary if you really think about it. And with all that said, it puts the lotion in the basket. So when it comes to Silence of the Lambs, I've really enjoyed that film ever since I was a kid. I still enjoy it to this day. Hannibal Lecter to me is one of the most fascinating fictional characters that have ever existed on screen. And the movie just never gets old. Now, don't get me started on the sequels. I don't want to talk about the movie Hannibal. Oh, gosh. I don't hate it. I just have a lot to say. The next one comes from Nick. Thoughts on Solo, a Star Wars story? I hate that movie. I think that's by far the worst Star Wars movie ever made, or spin-off, whatever you want to classify it as. Just a terrible movie. Everything wrong with modern day films was done in that film. It just felt like a cheap knockoff parody that should have been a Netflix movie. But it didn't even feel like it really belonged in the Star Wars universe. It felt like kind of a knockoff movie. So I just remember almost falling asleep in the theater watching it. Just an atrocious time. Tyson Sherborne. Do you think we should get a Batman cinematic universe or continue with the present DCEU, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, etc.? Love the Q&As. Keep it up. Well, thanks, man. Here's what I think. I think had they started and they made a solid foundation with Batman v Superman, because Man of Steel, in my opinion, was a decently solid foundation. They just really screwed it up and things got a little bit convoluted and they started going the wrong direction with Batman v Superman. So if that incarnation had worked out and Ben Affleck still wanted to be Batman, I would love for them to continue with the current DCEU and maybe correct their mistakes and go a different route. And I think it was possible because with films like Wonder Woman or Aquaman, people liked them. Generally speaking, critics enjoyed them. They made a lot of money. And that's why we're going to get sequels to those two movies. And they're sort of pretending like everything else doesn't really exist and it's going to fade off into obscurity. And that's why we're getting a new version of Batman with Robert Pattinson, directed by Matt Reeves. So would I have liked to see Ben Affleck continue as Batman? Yeah. But unfortunately, we don't have that. And I think it's too soon to recast another Batman to throw it in there with Wonder Woman and Aquaman. It just gets too confusing. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. So giving Batman his own universe, I enjoy that. And I sort of enjoy the slightly grounded in reality version or incarnation of the Batman movies. For me, those are always the best ones. If you look at Nolan's Batman series or trilogy, that's what I enjoy. And it seems like, according to the box office, most people enjoy that as well. So I'm okay if they just go that route for maybe 5 or 6 years, have Robert Pattinson star in 2 or 3 Batman movies. And then if they want to reboot everything, start fresh with the Justice League, have a new version of Wonder Woman and Aquaman, maybe 8 years down the road. I think that's what Warner Brothers is doing currently. So yeah, but I just feel like Ben Affleck was so wasted. Just what a waste. All right, the next one comes from Kevin Diaz. Have you seen the Star show Spartacus? If so, what are your thoughts? I have not seen Spartacus. I've heard mixed things, but I've never seen it. I'm all about like ancient Roman gladiators in that time period. I like it. I think the one I did, actually, I think I did watch one episode of Spartacus, and it just felt like they made the entire show in front of a green screen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like it was trying to be reminiscent to 300, and it just looks like they're standing in front of a green screen the entire show. Maybe I'm wrong. The next one comes from Scapegoat13. Hey, John, what video editing software do you use? Well, right now I'm actually using OBS to do the live stream and implement all the graphics and the ticker feed across the bottom right there. But typically to edit my videos, I use Power Director, Cyberlink Power Director 17. And when it comes to video editing, I know what I need to do. And as long as there's an editing software that's easy to use, it works, it gets the job done, and has all the features I need to make a YouTube video, or at least the style of YouTube videos I need, that's what I do. I've tried a lot of different editing software like Final Cut, Adobe Premiere. And for me, it feels like in those editing programs, you have to do 5 steps to get the result I need. But what I do is I look for editing software that I can do 1 step or 2 steps to get the result I need. And currently, Cyberlink Power Director does that for me. Now, would I edit a feature-length film on this software? Probably not, but it works for what I need. It's fast, it's effective, and it's easy to use. If you want a quick backstory, for many years, starting out on YouTube, I used to use Pinnacle Studio, I want to say 12, which was an atrocious pile of garbage that crashed every 5 seconds. I used to almost get done making a video. It would crash. I punch myself in the head, wake up 6 hours later, and then re-edit the entire video. And that went on for nearly 8 years of editing YouTube videos. And then finally one day, the software just no longer worked on my computer. Just magically one day it stopped working. So I had to find a different software, and that's what I did a couple years ago. And I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's a lot less stressful now. Brett Altop, have you seen Trading Mom? Have I seen Trading Mom? I don't think so. I've seen Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd, and but I don't think I've seen Trading Mom. No, maybe I have. It doesn't. Not off the top of my head, I don't think I've seen Trading Mom. Thoughts on Tremors? I've always enjoyed Tremors. Tremors is like the perfect fun B movie you could ever watch. It's Kevin Bacon running around from giant. It's almost like the poor man's version of Jaws, if you really think about Tremors. That's how I've always thought about it. It's giant graboids going through the dirt, eating people. It's sort of like Jaws. Balls in the Hole. Thanks for the Streamlabs donation, Balls in a Hole. Hey, John, if you like Stand By Me and The Breakfast Club, watch a movie called Son of Rambo. I think you will like it big time. Yeah, I've actually heard of Son of Rambo. I've watched the trailers, and there was a time where I almost watched the movie. I remember having it to watch. I just never got around to doing it. I just remember the little kid, they're making like an action movie. Yeah, it looks fascinating. It's probably one of those movies I'll watch on Netflix one rainy day. The next one comes from Benny. Thanks for the Streamlabs donation, Benny. Hey, John, will you continue to upgrade your collection as technology improves, 8K, 10K, etc., or is there a limit? I think there is a limit. Part of me thinks the last true physical media we'll get is 4K, because anything higher than that is going to be just a made-up marketing ploy to sell the same shit once again without any true advancement. And is it true you could upgrade? Is it true that we have 8K TVs? Yeah, technically 8K TVs exist, but the downside to that is there's nothing to watch on them. There's hardly anything to watch on a 4K TV if you want to talk about streaming services. And even when you have something on a streaming service that is true 4K, it doesn't matter. It's still compressed. It's not true 4K, and the audio is never as good as a physical media disc of 4K. So until we get to the point where normal streaming services offer 4K, everything's in 4K, it's perfectly done, no compression, and internet can, if your internet provider can actually give you 4K, which they can't, without it crashing or lagging every 10 seconds. I think it's going to be a long time until we get the next upgrade. So right now, the reason I buy 4K is because it's just the right amount of resolution, right? I think any higher than that, the human eye can't even detect it unless you're watching it on a 80-foot TV in front of your face. So for me, 4K is the pinnacle. It's good enough. I'm happy with that. If that's the last physical format we get with the highest resolution possible, I'm more than content with that. And when it comes to 4K, unless you have a 70-inch TV and you're watching it 5 feet in front of your face, the difference between 1080p and 4K resolution is nearly minute, and the majority of people don't even notice. But then again, there's a large majority of people who don't even know the difference between DVD and Blu-ray. I don't know. People are crazy to me. People are very strange these days, as Tommy Wiseau would say. All right. The next one comes from Ricardo Franco. Hey, Ricardo. How's it going, man? John, you picked the flick intro is hilarious. I laugh out loud every time. Well, thank you for that. It makes me laugh and cringe inside as well. Yeah, we probably will play the game, the segment, Pick the Flick, a little bit later in this stream. I usually play that. We usually go to the segment of Pick the Flick when I run out of shit to talk about. So look out for that a little bit later. The next one comes from Brevins Flicks and Games. I agree with you wholeheartedly on Silence of the Lambs. Also, if you wanted to know what inspired me to review films, it was you and Chris's review of Batman and Robin. So funny. I'll share more next week. Well, thanks, Brevin. What an interesting video to inspire you. Just talking shit about one of the worst Batman movies ever made, and that was back in 2014 or 2015. I still remember making that video. But thank you for that. The next one comes from Carter Lovejoy. Are you excited for Jaws on 4K? Can we also get an epic sequel to your Jaws in My Pool video from 2012? You just might get that, so look out for that. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, Jaws on 4K comes out in 2 weeks, and I will probably be getting Jaws on 4K. Actually, I know for a fact I am. I was emailed just the other day by Universal, and supposedly they're going to send me this really cool set of Jaws on 4K with like shark socks and shark underwear and some other cool swag. So I'll probably do an unboxing video showing all of that. But I do want to do another flick trip of going to pick up the Jaws 4K Steelbook at Best Buy. And by the way, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you go watch my last flick trip episode. I put it up 4 or 5 days ago. It's over on my main channel, The Flick Pick. And yeah, I think you guys will enjoy it. It's probably the most epic flick trip ever made. It has drone shots. It was actually directed by Michael Bay and has a budget of $9 million. None of that's true. But go watch it. I go and I talk about Top Gun, some other Tom Cruise movies, and Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think you guys will enjoy it. But I got to use my new drone, and I always just wanted to make really cool cinematic shots of me pulling into the Walmart parking lot, and now my dream has come true. Craig Thompson, have you seen the movie Sex Drive? I want to say I have seen the movie Sex Drive. Is there a secretary in the movie? Sex Drive movie? A secretary in the movie? I'm looking it up right now. Lovable teen Ian has always been the best friend, not the boyfriend. I think it's The Last American Virgin. Okay, this is not the movie I was thinking of. It has a 6.5 on IMDb and a 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. I feel like this is one of those movies I probably watched 10 minutes of and then was like, oh, that's enough for me. Came out in 2008. So I don't think I could conclusively say I've seen the entire movie of Sex Drive. The next one comes from Freddy246. Thoughts on James McAvoy and Split? Big fan, man. Well, thanks, Freddy. My name's Hedwig and I want a hot dog. Yeah, I think James McAvoy is amazing in the film Split. He made the movie Split what it was. I can't imagine anyone else in that role, which is always a testament to the actor's performance. Just switching up his multiple personalities to the film. By the way, Hedwig is my personal favorite. Yeah, and the one dance scene where he just loses his shit and starts dancing. Oh, so glorious in every way. Split was a phenomenal film. I just it gave me hope for M. Night Shyamalan's future films. And then I was really looking forward to the movie Glass. And I enjoyed the movie Glass up until probably the third act of the movie, where he just pulled an M. Night Shyamalan and ruined his own movie. But up until that point, I was entertained. The next one comes from Azim the Dream Reviews. It's interesting that you mentioned Jurassic World live action series because it's been confirmed to come after the release of Jurassic World Dominion. Also, a Jurassic World animated series titled Camp something is coming to Netflix, set during Jurassic World. Oh, Camp Cretaceous period, right? Interesting. Yeah, I think I actually remember hearing about that. I don't know what you would make a Jurassic World series about. Like, how many times can the dinosaurs escape? Now, this is the only direction I can imagine them going with a Jurassic World series. If by the end of Jurassic World, the dinosaurs take over the planet, and we, as the human civilization, are sort of the minority, and we're sort of living in a post-apocalyptic wasteland with dinosaurs ruling everything, and we're running around living in like little caves or something. I could see that maybe working as a series, sort of like Walking Dead meets Jurassic Park, right? It would focus on a small group of people going from point A to point B, and then they encounter dinosaurs and they try to survive dinosaurs attacking them, and maybe there's like a friendly dinosaur that they befriend or something like that. Would probably, I could see that happening. But I think the biggest negative to that would be just the budget. Like, to pull it off, nobody wants to watch a show about just people walking around based on Jurassic Park. Like, that would get boring really quick. So you're gonna have to use dinosaurs in there and have some pretty good CG. And when it comes to TV shows, when you try to utilize too much CG on a shoestring budget, it never works out that well. I remember the show Terra Nova, which came out probably, what was that, like a decade ago? And it had a good concept that sounded really fascinating, and they had a decent budget, but even those dinosaurs look like shit. So I don't know. I'll give it a watch. I just don't know how you can make a show based on it, unless they do exactly what I just said. All right, the next one comes from thoughts on the Cable Guy from Gambit X. Odd question. I sort of enjoyed the Cable Guy starring Jim Carrey from 1996. I actually remember, and this is many years ago. If you're a bit younger of a viewer, we used to have something called pay-per-view, and you used to have to call in and order a fucking movie over the phone, and then you were allowed to watch it on your TV. That's how on demand used to work. Okay. So I remember we did that, and we watched the Cable Guy, and I always enjoyed it. It had Matthew Broderick in the movie. And it was a good movie. Not the best Jim Carrey movie, but mildly entertaining. I like when they go to the restaurant. What is it called? Something with Knights or Fantastical something. And they have that duel, and that's a real restaurant that you can go eat at. And I always wanted to go eat there. But then I thought to myself, when they're running around and all the horses are flinging up dirt, do I want to sit there and eat with dirt flying around, dust particles in the air? I don't know. Maybe I'm a weirdo. Craig Thompson. Have you seen The Monster Squad and my favorite John Cena movie? What is your favorite John Cena movie? The Marine? I don't know. I have seen Monster Squad multiple times. I love Monster Squad. That is whenever I'm getting that 80s nostalgia vibe around October, Monster Squad is kind of the movie I go to, or maybe films like, let's see. I think Monster Squad is the best one, but anything. Don't you just feel like Corey Feldman should have been in Monster Squad? That's just my thing. I feel like he should have been in the movie. Rainbow Commando 41. FYI, the banks are closed on Sundays. Classic flick trip on how to spend less than $1. Oh yes, I do remember that that vlog video I made. How to spend 81 cents. Yeah, good times. I do recall that. I go to a parking meter and I spend a quarter. And I say, if you want some high quality entertainment for a quarter, this is what you do. You just sit in your car on the side of the street. And you're allowed to sit there for 1 hour. Azim the Dream Reviews. Thoughts on the Spider-Man trilogy. Favorite Spider-Man villain? The original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire. I like the first two movies. I think they're great. Do I feel like the first Spider-Man has aged all that well? No, not really. It's aged in many ways. There's some scenes that hold up, like the final fight between the Goblin and Spider-Man is still great. But a lot of it just feels so early 2000s. The second Spider-Man movie has a bit more timelessness to it. The third one is an atrocious mess. I hate everything about it. One of the worst theater experiences I've ever had. The Amazing Spider-Man movies, I do not like. I would say The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is probably one of the worst superhero movies ever made, because there's just no excuse when you have an endless budget of money to spend, and that's what you do with your movie. Like, it's almost like they purposely made it as bad as they could. And then when it comes to the Tom Holland movies, I like them. I just don't love them yet. I feel like they're too reliant on the MCU right now, and I wish they could just be their own thing. But as far as my favorite villain goes, one of my favorite Spider-Man villains is Venom. Have we got the best incarnation of Venom? Probably not. You know, Topher Grace's Venom as just did not work for me. He was very shoehorned into the movie. And then you have the Tom Hardy movie, Venom. And I thought that there was a lot of room for improvement, to say the least. The next one comes from Hector Chill Guy. Hey, John, who plays a better villain, Kevin Bacon in X-Men First Class or Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards? Probably Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards. Because he actually can speak German. Kevin Bacon was good, though. Kevin Bacon always has made a really good villain, in my opinion. I just remember the line in X-Men First Class, chocolate? You want some chocolate? Something like that. But yeah, he plays a convincing Nazi, I guess you could say. But if you want to see the most convincing, seedy Kevin Bacon villainous role ever, watch the movie Sleepers, starring Kevin Bacon. It's a seedy movie, to say the least. Go watch that. It's hard to look at Kevin Bacon the same way after that movie. Thoughts on Dune 2020? Cool, I'll watch it. Looks like a great sci-fi flick. It's directed by one of the most competent directors we have working today, who can almost do no wrong at this point. So I think it's time that we get another thinking man sci-fi flick. I don't know a lot about it. I have seen the original Dune from 1980. What was that? 1984, mid 80s. Did not like the movie, but I think he can elevate that material and blow me away. At least I hope he can. So please stop asking me about Dune 2020 15 times in the comments. All right. Keep pumping that iron, John. I will. I actually had a quick workout today for the first time in a while, and it was good. It's always good. You feel like you're slowly withering away, and then you lift some weights, and you get a little blood flow into your biceps, and it makes you feel like a man again. Highly recommend it. All right, the next one comes from Zilla Willie. Thoughts on Dune 2020? We actually just answered that, so thank you for the Streamlabs donation. The next one comes from Balls in the Hole. Thanks for the Streamlabs donation. Hey, John, if you like... we actually already answered that. Okay, Streamlabs is updating very slowly. All right, the next one comes from... Come on, YouTube. Update. Thoughts on Borat? That's a movie I haven't thought about in a very long time. Borat was funny the first time I saw it. It's one of those movies that doesn't have a lot of rewatchability. But I always thought Borat was funny. I'm forgetting his name, but I always remember the character of Ollie G. There was a TV show that he hosted that was also funny. I remember watching that long before Borat came out. John, do you like Ad Astra? I don't. Funny story. I actually shot a movie review for Ad Astra. I shot it. I made it. I did not edit it. And I remember sitting down to edit it, and I was looking at it, and I was like, I just don't give a shit about this movie. And then I went off my life. Yeah, if you want to talk about it, Ad Astra is sort of like, it wants to be a thinking man's pretentious art house film. And that's what it's stylized to be, but it's none of those things when you watch it. The movie just has no substance whatsoever. I was really hoping it was great. I wanted a really great sci-fi film. I love sci-fi movies that make you think. And then you watch Ad Astra, and the plot makes no sense. And I don't want to spoil anything for you, but there's a plot point in the movie. The whole reason Brad Pitt's character even needs to go do anything makes no sense. They could have just done all of that from Earth. He never needed to go in space at all to do any of these things. But once again, I don't want to spoil the movie for you. And the climax and the conclusion of the movie is one of the most unfulfilling things I've ever seen in a movie in my entire life. It just felt like they made it up as they went, and it wasn't very imaginative. Have you seen Pineapple Express? I have seen Pineapple Express. Not one of my favorite movies. Just a lot of people like it. It almost has like a sort of a cult following. I just never got really hardcore into it. And I like Seth Rogen. He called the shit poop. And James Franco I like. But when it comes to like a stoner comedy movie, I'd rather watch Dazed and Confused. The next one comes from John Gomez. What do you think is the most brutal scene in a superhero movie? I always loved the final fight in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Yeah, John Gomez, I specifically talked about that question on the last live stream, and I do agree with you. I liked the Hobgoblin Spider-Man fight scene. You have a little blood trickling out of the mouth, and Spider-Man's suit's completely ripped off of his body. Yeah, pretty brutal. But I feel like someone specifically asked that exact same question on the live stream. So, what is the best looking 4K? Why don't you stick around maybe later this week and we'll have a video all about that. So yeah, for me, when it comes to like 4K movies, one of my most rewatchable, I would say, when it comes to like picture quality is probably Mad Max Fury Road, which ironically was actually shot in 2K and upscaled to 4K. All right, the next one comes from... Oh, come on, YouTube. Update. All right, one day it'll update. Mick CV. I mean, you got to talk about the Hannibal show. I never watched the Hannibal show. I don't want it to taint Hannibal for me. I don't know. I have this weird thing with TV shows. Like, I feel like any great TV show that was great 5 years ago, people still talk about, like Game of Thrones, right? Say what you will about the final season, but people will still talk about that as being a great show. But then you have, when other shows come out like The Witcher, like everyone's like, oh, it's so good, you got to go watch it. And then 5 months ago, after the show comes out, no one's talking about it. No one references it. No one can pinpoint an amazing, great scene. And I feel like that's sort of a testament to how great a real show is. If people can continue the conversation years after the show and still recommend it, then it sort of sells me on watching the show. Craig Thompson, I mean, what is your favorite John Cena movie? Oh, what is my favorite John Cena movie? Has John Cena ever made a good movie? I don't know. He's been in a lot of movies, just nothing I would say is my favorite film. He had a role in the what was that comedy movie that came out last year? I heard that was decent. I never watched it, but I remember hearing good things about that. I forget what it was called. I don't know. I don't really have a favorite John Cena movie. I was hoping that he would be enjoyable to watch in the new Fast and Furious movie, but maybe we'll find out about that next year. Chris Christopher Mosted, have you played the Arkham games? I have played the first Arkham game. I did not continue on after that. I remember getting rid of my consoles and never playing games again, really. The only thing I have is my SNES Classic back there. But yeah, never got into Arkham games. I've heard great things about them. I've watched a lot of gameplay footage. Azim the Dream reviews. Thoughts on the Spider-Man... Oh, we already answered that. Okay. Night King 01. Thoughts on the Snyder Cut announcement date rumor. Until that thing is announced, I'm not talking about it. Supposedly, there's supposed to be some kind of announcement tomorrow. But the thing is, the movie still supposedly needs another $20 million to be completed. And then what do you have? Now you invest $20 million into something that you're going to poop onto a streaming service, and people are either going to think it's okay, maybe it's slightly better than the Justice League movie, or you have an entire other group of people who are going to say it's complete shit like the Justice League movie. So is that worth $20 million? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's still cheaper than starting from scratch, making an original movie to put on your streaming service to entice people to subscribe to it, thus getting more customer acquisition and then making more money with subscription service. I don't know. It's one of those things. I would like to see it. I hope it's cool. I just don't feel like it's going to really blow us away as much as some people think it will. And I say that based on the Justice League Ultimate Edition, where everyone was like, "Oh, it's so mind blowing. It's an amazing movie now." It went from a C movie to an A movie, and I would completely disagree with all of that. Did it make the movie slightly better? Yeah, it made it like marginally better, but it was still sort of the same movie. So that's what I feel like will happen with the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Do I want to see it? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? Maybe. But the only downside to that happening, is if you put all this money into a Justice League movie and you bring out the Justice League version 2.0, the Snyder Cut, it's sort of like spinning your wheels to say, hey guys, you remember when we had that really good idea and this was supposed to be the groundwork of a new Justice League and set up all these different characters? That's no longer going to happen, and Ben Affleck's not even Batman anymore. It sort of just reminds everyone of a failed idea. And I don't know from a marketing standpoint if that's the best thing Warner Brothers wants to do, if eventually they want to start fresh with a new incarnation of Batman and Justice League down the road. So, those are my quick thoughts. I'll save the rest of my thoughts if this announcement does come true. But right now, it's the same shit people have been saying for the last 3 years. It's all rumors, and I'll wait till it's confirmed. Robert Bartson, thank you for the super chat, Robert. Very much appreciated. Hey, what ya doing over there? What would your workout routine look like if you were cast to play Batman? You want to get buff, but you also want to stay lean. So probably a lot of... I've never been into cardio. I feel like cardio is sort of a waste of time. I do a lot of supersets and a lot of bodybuilding kind of things. I think a solid foundation to be the character of Batman. So you're going to have abs. You need biceps. You need big arms. You need big shoulders. You need some traps. You got to look the part. You have to look menacing and intimidating. And usually when actors are cast to play certain roles to look bigger than they actually are, it's usually an optical illusion. So when it comes to working out, it's all an optical illusion, right? So if you want to look bigger than you are, you start working out the muscles that outline your body, like the traps, your arms, your shoulders, because it gives you that appearance of looking bigger and wider than you really are. So I would start there. I'd probably just do what I was doing back in 2015 to like 2019. Probably that same workout routine. Do I have a solid routine that I do when I used to go to the gym? No, I kind of just go by feel, and I go by the. I was always inspired by Arnold whenever I went to the gym to work out. Arnold always worked out for the pump. Work out for the pump. Get the blood flowing in all of your muscles, until you're about to explode. And then he said a few other things. It feels like you're coming. Every time I'm in the gym, I'm coming, so I'm always happy. David Goldstein. Have you watched Smallville? I never watched Smallville. The only superhero TV series I watched and I actually enjoyed was probably Daredevil. Everything else to me, I just could not get into it. I watched a lot of the episodes from Gotham recently. I didn't watch all of them, but I watched some of them. And it always feels like the same thing in these the TV versions of superhero shows. It feels like they always have good ideas, and then they start to expand on one of those good ideas, and then they instantly quickly stop it as fast as they can because they feel like their audience has such a short attention span. So it never really plays out and becomes anything more. It just feels like this is the episode of the week, and next week we're going to do something completely different. They never allow you to get immersed into them. Richard Sorok, what's a new character you'd like to see in the MCU? I would like to just see all the X-Men characters in the MCU eventually one day. But the thing is, and I think what they did with the last few Avengers films is they set them up to have a multiverse. That way you can have X-Men in one universe and then have the Avengers in the other universe. That way they don't have to cross-contaminate each other. Because the crazy thing is, if you were to have X-Men and the Avengers working together, what would make the Avengers so special anymore? It's sort of like, well, they're mutants with superpowers and you're just godlike people with superpowers. You're sort of the same thing. So there's no real separation. And then I don't think they would help each other in any way. Like, it just wouldn't make a lot of sense, because the whole thing about the X-Men is they're mutants. They're looked down upon in society. But when you look at Thor in the MCU in society, that's a god. We like that. We appreciate that. So I think the entire thing of the X-Men work better in their own solo universe. So, but I would like to see the X-Men, but you said in the MCU. I'll just say I want to see the X-Men's own contained MCU. How's that? John, bring back Tiny Todd. Legends never die. That is true. Legends never die. Maybe one day. I don't know. I don't even know where Tiny Todd is. Favorite scene from the Lighthouse. The one scene that always sort of triggers a memory in my head is the mermaid scene. And then, but I just like where they start fighting each other about his cooking. You like my cooking. You like my lobster. I like that fight. And then he chases him. There's one scene where he starts chasing him with an axe, and I thought things were going to get really brutal, but it holds back a little bit. The next one comes from, are you a big fan of Red Letter Media? Yeah, I like Red Letter Media. Sure. I think they make great videos. I haven't watched a lot of their newer stuff lately. I don't know why. I just haven't. But yeah, I've always enjoyed their channel. Jango Fett 7110. Thanks for the Streamlabs donation. Have you seen the movie Grandma's Boy? Also, would you consider reviewing it? It was made by Adam Sandler's company, Happy Madison Productions, and stars Alan Covert, his only leading role, one of my favorite stoner flicks. I love Grandma's Boy. I think it's highly underrated, and I've always enjoyed that film. I saw it in theaters, and I love this. I love the scene where he's staying over at Nick Swardson's house. And Nick Swardson's character sleeps on a car bed, and then he's in the bathroom looking at like a Lara Croft Tomb Raider figure jerking off. It's phenomenal. And if I haven't sold you to watch Grandma's Boy, well, I don't know what else more I can say. Yeah, great movie. The next one comes from Dylan Peter. Hey Dylan, how's it going? Thoughts on the 5 Transformers movies and Bumblebee? All right. I like the first Transformers movie. Do I like it as much as I probably did back in 2007? Probably not. But at the time when that came out, I remember going to the midnight showing. That's when we used to have midnight showing still, and watching it. And me and my friend loved it. We went to the theater and watched it again. We were just blown away because that was like the first time you saw that to me. I guess from at the time that was like me watching Jurassic Park for the first time. Now, say what you will about the screenplay, but the special effects of watching these Transformers come to life was mind-blowing. The CG was phenomenal, and I really enjoyed it. And then watching Transformers 2, I don't think I've ever been more disappointed in a film in my life. I was like, what is this? And it took every fiber in my being not to leave during that movie. Just a mess of a movie. And then the third one I remember watching in theaters thinking it was okay. I thought it was like, it at least was better than the second movie and had a somewhat interesting storyline, especially with the Dark of the Moon storyline and the conspiracy theories and maybe why we went to the moon so many times. I liked that. And then when it comes to Transformers 4 and 5 with Mark Wahlberg, I don't even remember what they were about. I don't know why they exist. And they got really self-indulgent and they were terrible. So those are my thoughts on Transformers movies. Bumblebee was competent. I will say Bumblebee was a competent movie, but I have a review for the movie if you want to go watch it. Darkened Soul 227, American Psycho or Inception. American Psycho all day, all day. I watched Inception recently, and I actually remember watching Inception a year or two ago, and I still like the movie. I still think it's a phenomenal film. It's a cinematic experience, but the thing about Inception is I implore you to go back and rewatch it. It sort of loses something. It's for me, it's lost something over the years. I can't quite pinpoint what it is. I'm not as blown away by it as I once was. And maybe that's because I watch it and I start picking it apart, or maybe I pick up on some of the pacing issues. And there's some great scenes in the movie, and I like the characters, but I will say it's one of those movies that I don't love as much as I used to. But not to say it's a bad movie. It lost something for me. Let me know if you feel the same. Nick says, are you going to get HBO Max? Yes, probably. It depends. I know a lot of movies that they're coming out with, and I'll give you guys sort of a inside scoop. I am working with HBO Max doing something behind the scenes that might or might not happen on their streaming service one day. So yeah, I do like it. I like Warner Brothers. I like HBO. I typically think they have the best movie streaming. Netflix has more movies, but 98% of the shit on Netflix you don't want to watch. So yeah, I probably will get HBO Max and see how it plays out. So yeah, probably. I have been contemplating canceling my Disney Plus though. I will say that. Calvin Robinson, what soundbar do you use and do you recommend? The cheapest soundbar that sounds good is what I recommend. That's what I recommend. Typically, if you go to Walmart, you can find some really good deals on sound bars. If you just go, sometimes you see sound bars there at Walmart randomly that sometimes cost $300 for $150. It just depends on when you go. But for me right now, I'm using a $150 sound bar. It's an LG sound bar. It has a subwoofer. I think it has... I want to say it's all about the watts too. You want a soundbar with as many watts as you possibly can, because the higher the wattage, the louder it will go and the better it can typically sound. But mine right now, since I live in an apartment, I don't need a $500 Atmos soundbar system. I don't need that because I'll never crank it up loud enough to truly utilize it to its full potential. So I use like a $150 LG soundbar. It's good. It does the job. It adds the bass that I need. And I've went through many soundbars over the years. Sony soundbars. At one time, I did buy a very overpriced LG Dolby Atmos soundbar that had speakers on the top. That's supposed to give you that surround sound by shooting the sound up to the ceiling, and then it reverbs behind your ears. I would recommend never buying one of those because you can buy a better surround sound system for the same price. Night King 01. Is Avatar the most overrated movie ever? No. No, I think there's by far more overrated movies than Avatar. I like Avatar. I don't care what anyone says. That's a fun, immersive, big budget popcorn blockbuster movie. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, it's like Dances with Wolves and Ferngully. Yeah, but did either one of those fucking movies have 9-foot tall blue aliens riding dragons? No, they did not. Were either one of those movies directed by James Cameron? No, they were not. But I will say this. Sam Worthington cannot act. He just can't. But I enjoy the movie because it's just visually fun to look at. And it has giant mech robots fighting aliens at the end of the movie. That's just fun to watch. So I like Avatar. And that's another one of those movies. When that movie first came out, me and my friend went to go see that movie, and we were blown away by how much we enjoyed it and how immersive it was. And watching it at home, does it lose something? Yeah, sure. But the movie came out 10 years ago. But when that movie came out, it was the pinnacle of what you could do with technology in 3D at the time. And I will say this. It's truly one of the best 3D movies that was worth that 3D ticket price when it came out. And I'm looking forward to the sequels. I just hope they don't suck. Ewan Whiteford. Hey, John, have you seen Trainspotting? I have seen Trainspotting. It's a movie that makes you never want to do heroin. Yeah, I like Trainspotting. Ewan McGregor, it's probably the first Ewan McGregor movie I've ever seen. And I just remember the one scene where he's trying to go cold turkey, and he locks himself in a room, and he's like, bucket for vomitus. Great movie. I never got around to actually watching the sequel to Trainspotting, and I've heard it was not very good. All right, the next one comes from Benny. Thanks for the Streamlabs donation, Benny. Inception spoiler. Do you think Leo is awake at the end? I think it's okay to talk about spoilers for Inception. The movie came out a decade ago. So I think it's okay. Any film 10 years old or older, I'm never going to give a spoiler warning for. If you wanted to see the movie, you would have by now. So, yeah, do I think Leo is awake at the end? Here's what I think about Inception. Here's my thoughts on it. I think either way, Leo's character is where he wants to be. If he's in a dream, he's in a happy dream with a happy ending. If he's not, then he's laying on the road. He's laying down somewhere still dreaming. And I think, whoa, that just got really bright. What happened there? Let's try to fix that. There we go. I think there's poltergeist. There's a poltergeist in my light bulb over here. So I think I think Nolan even came out in an interview or Michael King gave an interview or something like that, saying that the character is in his happy place. And here's my thing with Inception. If you watch the movie, there's some scenes that are supposedly set in reality that are so bizarre that I just don't believe they're in reality, especially when Leo's character goes to see Michael Caine, his father, working as a teacher in Europe somewhere. And he's like, come back to reality. Come back to reality. And I think that's a big hint about him still being stuck in a dream somewhere. Just the whole thing just feels so dreamlike. So I would like to say he's still dreaming. And I'll shut up now and go to the next question, if I can find it. Is Black Panther overrated? Define overrated. The thing is, here, I think time is the testament to everything. At the time when that movie came out, everyone's like, Michael B. Jordan's villain is so great and mind-blowing. It's the next best villain in a comic book movie since Heath Ledger. And now, does anyone really talk about Black Panther? I mean, do they? As saying it's the best MCU movie? I don't hear anyone saying that anymore, but at the time it came out, people said that. So at the time, do I think it was overrated? Yes. Do I think it's a okay Marvel film in the grand scheme of the Marvel universe? Sure. I think it's it's a good movie based on Black Panther. Do I think there's way more they could have done? Yes. Do I feel like they could have actually taken their time and put together a climax action sequence with the two main characters fighting that didn't look like a PS2 video game graphic? Yeah, probably. They probably could have done a lot better. And with all that said, I have not went back and rewatched that movie since it came out in theaters. I own the Blu-ray. I think it's still in the plastic, but I have no urge to rewatch it. And keep in mind, when I saw Civil War and I saw that version of Black Panther in Civil War kicking ass, chasing after Bucky on that highway chase sequence, I was like, ooh, Black Panther is a badass. I want to see more of this. And then you watch the movie, and it sort of feels like they watered him down a little bit. He sort of felt like he wasn't good at anything. I don't know. I didn't think it was the best Black Panther movie they could have made, thinking about it now. So maybe the sequel will be better. Jay the Movie Maker. Favorite Harrison Ford movie? Probably Indiana Jones, Raiders, probably Star Wars. But if you want to, like, another Harrison Ford movie, I don't know. What was the new Harrison Ford movie that came out? What was it? Not Homeward Bound. Whatever the movie was with the big CG dog in it. Why was Harrison Ford in that movie? Why did he do that? But I'll definitely say Indiana Jones if I had to pick a Harrison Ford movie. I still like Captain America Civil War. Yeah, I still like the movie too. It is fun though. It is funny. If you go watch the movie, you kind of wish when you see them running at each other on that tarmac at the airport, and you have like, there's 5 people on this side and 5 people on this side, and they run at each other and no one's really actually fighting each other. They're just sort of like moving their arms like this and throwing each other around and pulling their punches. You sort of think to yourself, man, what this could have been. But I still enjoy Civil War. I still really enjoy the movie. Call of the Wild. Yes, Rob K. Call of the Wild. Why? Why was it made? Who thought it was a good idea? I don't know. I probably will never watch it. Zilla Willie. Hey John, I agree on what you're saying about Inception. Saw it again recently, and I thought it was going mad because I didn't quite enjoy it as much. Glad I'm not the only one. Also, Jake Gyllenhaal or Ryan Gosling. Probably Jake Gyllenhaal for me. I mean, he stars in one of my favorite movies of all time, Nightcrawler. I like Ryan Gosling. I think he does a good job. But for me, I just feel like when it comes to range, Jake Gyllenhaal has more of it. Yeah, typically, I feel like Ryan Gosling for a while, or maybe he's still doing it. He went on this every time he was in a movie where he wanted to be a serious actor, a thespian of sorts. He thought this was great acting. He would stare. He'd have a 1,000-yard stare, and then he'd have no expression on his face, and then a tear would trickle down his cheek. Like, to him, that's the performance of a lifetime. And he did that in like 2 or 3 movies. So, yeah, I just remember when he did that in Place Beyond the Pines. I was like, what are you doing? Stop. Speaking of Place Beyond the Pines, what a great movie with a great first act, and nothing else is good after that. Ricky Ticky, Bobby Wobbin. Sorry, I can't read. John, my man, we know a lot about your favorite movies, but what would you say are some of your favorite comedies? Love your content, buddy. Have for years. Well, thanks, Ricky Ticky. Thank you for that. My favorite comedies, I mean, listen, I love 1980s and 1990s comedies. Those to me are like timeless. A lot of the modern day comedy movies to me just sort of become instantly forgettable. Not to say there's not some good comedy movies, but when it comes, like, I would say my favorite modern day comedy movie, and I'd probably have to go back to 2007, would be Superbad. I thought that was a perfect comedy movie that I could relate to. But if you want to go further back than that, I love movies like Tommy Boy from the mid 90s. I love Dumb and Dumber. If you want to go to the 1980s, pretty much any John Hughes movie entertained me. Uh, but I'm trying to. Somebody actually asked me what some of my recent. Somebody asked me what my favorite comedy movies of the last 10 years were, and I couldn't really pinpoint one. I couldn't. But with that said, I'm a weirdo. I enjoy dark comedy. Like when I think of American Psycho, to me, American Psycho is a comedy movie. Does that make me a sociopath? Maybe, but it's fucking hilarious and I love it. Superbad is the best. I agree. Superbad is the best. The next one, do you watch Supergirl? I never watched Supergirl, never got into it. Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder was solid. Yes, Robert Downey Jr. I'm a dude playing a dude who's another dude. I love it. Thoughts on Back to the Future? Back to the Future is probably one of my favorite film trilogies of all time. The Dark Knight trilogy, Back to the Future trilogy are probably two of my favorite trilogies. I actually prefer the Back to the Future trilogy over the Star Wars trilogy. Just for me, it was always my go-to because that's sort of what I grew up watching was the Back to the Future trilogy, and I didn't really get into Star Wars movies until I was almost a teenager. The Star Wars movies weren't something I watched a lot of as a kid. The first Star Wars movie I ever saw in the theater was actually a Phantom Menace, and I remember thinking, wow, Jake Lloyd is so cool. The Nice Guys. Yeah, The Nice Guys is good. I mean, it is a comedy movie. It's a buddy. I classify it as more of a buddy cop movie. But yeah, it's Nice Guys is good. Do you like the band Silverchair? Wow, no one talks about Silverchair. Yeah, I always remember their song, "We'll Make It Up to You in the Year 2000." Yeah, I remember that song. Yeah, they were okay. Thoughts on Speed 2? Oh, a sequel that did not need to be made, but was. You could just tell they were doing everything in their power. Like, for example, Keanu Reeves didn't want to come back because the script of Speed 2 was so terrible. So what do? They cast another guy to be the new boyfriend who coincidentally has the exact same job that Keanu Reeves' character had. Wow, Sandra Bullock, you definitely have a type. Like, how did you even find another guy who was doing the exact same thing? Another SWAT team officer guy. I don't know. Just a really bad, cheap movie. Not even cheap. The weird thing is that movie costs a lot of money, but it looks cheap. The next one comes from Jordan. Hey John, I just upgraded to 4K and it feels great. So far, I bought Fury Road, Pacific Rim, Blade Runner 2049, La La Land, and Into the Spider-Verse. What are some great looking 4K movies I should own? I've talked about that way too many times, and I probably will talk about it more. I actually do have a video upcoming watching some of my favorite 4K movies at home. But yeah, it sounds like you're on a good roll there. I would probably recommend The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. I'd recommend those two movies. Also, Gladiator looks pretty good on 4K. All right, let's go to the next one here, if I can ever find it. Craig Thompson, you've seen Napoleon Dynamite and You saw Napoleon Dynamite and Wolfman 2010? Oh, yeah, I've seen Napoleon Dynamite, of course. Uncle Rico is amazing. Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite. What a great movie when it came out. Wolfman 2010 I thought was really bad. I did see it in theaters, and me and my friends were laughing so much at how bad the movie was. I just remember the insane asylum scene where you have the guy who works there, and he and just talking about it makes me laugh. And then they're basically electrocuting the Wolfman Del Toro's character, and you have the guy who works at the insane asylum going he and we just laughed for 20 minutes in the theater because of that. I need to find that scene again. It's just so bad. I remember years later, the director of Wolfman, who also directed Captain America: The First Avenger, he came out and said, "Yeah, I needed money. That's why I made the movie." Malty Sabata, favorite movie ending. My favorite movie ending, oh God, that's too tough. That's not a fair question to ask. If I, off the top of my head, some of the most moving movie endings were always Stand By Me with Richard Dreyfuss giving his narration. Do we ever have friends like the ones we had when we were 12 years old? Jesus, does anyone? I like that ending to Stand By Me. I thought the ending to The Dark Knight Rises sort of made me feel something emotionally when I watched it. I like the ending to the movie Shawshank Redemption. I mean, there's many more I enjoy. I like the endings to movies where the bad guy wins. I like endings like that. So if you watch movies like to go back to what we were talking about earlier with Silence of the Lambs, I like that ending as well. Rando Commando 41, favorite Robin Williams movie. Ooh. One of my favorites are Hook, your rude crude bag of pre-food chew dude. I always enjoyed Hook. I enjoy his performance in. Why can't I remember what it's called? Why can't I remember what this movie's called all of a sudden? Oh, Good Will Hunting. Sorry. My brain leaked out of my ear right there. But yeah, Robin Williams has always been one of those likable actors. I mean, if you want to talk about another comedy movie, I enjoyed him in Mrs. Doubtfire. Thinking about it, isn't Mrs. Doubtfire the scariest movie? If you really look at it with a different perspective, it's one of the scariest, most creepiest films ever made. But I enjoyed it. And speaking of Robin Williams, he had a movie that came out in 1992, I believe. It's called Toys. And it was just one of the most bizarre movies ever made. Like, I don't know who the movie was made for, because it definitely wasn't made for kids, even though it should have been. But it's like the dark, eeriest movie you could ever make about toys. And I remember watching it in the theater as a kid, thinking, this is weird. Good Morning Vietnam. Yeah, I like Good Morning Vietnam. I haven't watched that in probably... Oh, I can't even remember the last time I watched it. Thoughts on RoboCop? The moon looks lovely this evening. I love RoboCop. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break because I need to get another drink. I feel like I'm going to pass out because I have a lack of caffeine today. But yeah, just I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. So if you guys want to refill your popcorn, add some more ice cubes to your drink. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, and I will pick up on answering some more questions. So leave the questions right here, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back. This is it. Don't get scared now. By the way, how are you guys doing? Are you guys all staying at home still? Are you guys being safe? Where you live, did things open back up? Let me know how you guys are doing down below, because that's what this is all about. It's not just looking at my stupid face for 2 hours as I answer your questions. It's about connecting with you guys. So yeah, let me know how you guys are doing, where you guys are watching from. Let me know your city, your state, and preferably your address and social security number, please. But yeah, let me know. Let me know how you guys are doing. The next one is a Streamlabs donation from Dylan Peter. John, Over the Top is an amazing movie. Fun fact, my dad was an arm wrestling champion and moved to California to train with one of the referees from Over the Top. Needless to say, my dad couldn't wait to show me this movie. He wasn't a semi-truck driver, though. Haha. Yes, that's amazing. That is truly amazing. My dad was a semi-truck driver. The only thing I was always let down by, though, is he didn't have a tricep curling machine as a center console in his truck so he could just work out when he drove up and down the roads. But yeah, God, Over the Top, I love it so much. And the modern day remake of Over the Top is the Hugh Jackman movie Real Steel. Essentially just a remake of Over the Top, but actually not bad. Real Steel was actually slightly better than it should have been, wasn't it? I liked that movie. I could watch that again right now, maybe. Maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in the mood to watch a Hugh Jackman robot movie. All right. The next one comes from JT, the movie maker. Had a question. And it disappeared because the YouTube chat system is crazy and doesn't update properly. So now it's lost. I will find it. Christian Baller, thanks for the super chat. John, does Amber let you enter the danger zone? Only when I feel the need for speed. And then sometimes we go play volleyball and I cover myself in oil and we listen to 80s music. Have you seen Capone? No, Rob K, I have not seen Capone yet, but I can tell you by the trailers, it looked like boring, mediocre trash, and I guess that's pretty much what it is. It just feels like a waste of the story of Al Capone. It's like, hey, we're making an Al Capone movie. Oh yeah, what's it about? Well, it's about the 1 year that he's dying of syphilis and then he's going crazy. Oh, what about all the cool gangster stuff that took place in Chicago or the time that he went to Alcatraz for tax evasion? No, we're not talking about that shit. We want to talk about the time he smokes a carrot and thinks it's a cigar. So no, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it. Thoughts on T3 Rise of the Machines? A little too hokey for its own good. I hated the villain of the movie. Just too much CG. The best thing about T3 Rise of the Machines was the final 5 minutes of the movie where they go down into the bunker. Like, that should have been what the movie was. Like, that's what I wanted to see more of. Just living his life in a bunker. And then maybe, like, that should have been the first act of the movie. Thinking about it, they should have just started T3 Rise of the Machines out with the nuclear bombs going off. They go down into the bunker. They live there for 5 or 10 years. They emerge from the bunker. John Connor is now the leader of the resistance and start the movie there. Wow, I just made a better movie. Why didn't we do that? Escape from New York? Oh, I love me some Escape from New York. Yes, please. I love it more. Yes, that's probably one of my favorite rewatchable John Carpenter movies. Really love it. I love the score too, and I love the nighttime vibe of the movie. Snake Plissken, what a badass. And by the way, if you guys want to watch a complete knockoff of Escape from New York, there's a movie on Netflix right now called Lockout, starring Guy Pearce, it's a blatant ripoff, and it's so terrible. Go watch that. Hector, the chill guy, thanks for the super chat. Thoughts on District 9? Whatever happened to that guy, the director? Well, he went on to make another movie called Elysium, which was really underwhelming and sort of the exact same thing. And then he went on to make another movie that was even more disappointing called Chappie. Every movie he makes takes place in South Africa. But yeah, I love District 9. I thought that was way ahead of its time. And really, the thing you have to appreciate most about District 9 is that was essentially the failed Halo movie. The movie was going to be made. They had all these props. They threw some money at it. And then they decided not to make a Halo movie for whatever reason. I don't know why. But then they said, what can we do with all these leftover things, this production material? So then they made District 9, which I thought was really good. But But yeah, I liked his directing style. I just feel like his screenplays were never that great. Like Elysium had sort of an interesting concept, but the execution wasn't good. Chappie was just weird for the sake of being weird. And I remember he cast like some pop artist that are like popular in South Africa as the leading roles. That just, I have a review for Chappie, and I don't even remember what I said, but yeah. Adam Rocks, BM. Yeah, he did. I don't know what that's in reference to. I actually liked Elysium. Yeah, I'm glad you did. I just didn't. I wanted to. I thought it could have been a really good movie, but I just didn't buy into it. And I remember they actually originally wanted to cast Eminem for the role of Matt Damon in Elysium. There's a fun fact for you. All right, the next one, as we keep going on here. Thoughts on the Sicario movies? Are you excited for the third installment? Did they actually greenlight a third Sicario? There's one movie franchise that would work well as a TV series. Sicario would lend itself perfectly to a TV series on like AMC. I think that would work out really well. Yeah, I like Sicario. I actually like the sequel, Sicario, which I liked that the Del Toro's character sort of got more screen time, and you learn a little bit more about him. And I liked his character a lot. Yeah, I like Sicario. Phenomenal film. Rise of Skywalker or Dark Phoenix? Oh. It's like, which one disappoints me less? I would probably say I would prefer Dark Phoenix over Rise of Skywalker, but both are like, they almost fall into that same category of like, let's just get this done with. We don't care. We need to rush it out to make a few dollars and move on. And it felt like everyone behind or involved in the project, it just doesn't feel inspired, does it? So I'd probably prefer Dark Phoenix just because it's not, for me, when you have the conclusion to the Skywalker saga, you have to make a good movie. It has to be good. You cannot disappoint us. And when you play it so safe, and then it feels like you're just making up stuff as you go, it's just a disappointment. So yeah, I would probably go Dark Phoenix on that. I almost want to make a video about that. Maybe that would make an interesting video. All right, the next one comes from Christian Baller. Thanks for the super chat. We just answered that. This stream is so lagging. It's insane. I'm sorry for that. Seems to be working now. Is the lagging done? Okay, the next one comes from John Gomez. Hey, John, I'm finding it hard to find any excuse to keep Disney Plus. What reasons should I keep it? Don't say Star Wars, laugh aloud. You have no reason to keep Disney Plus. You have no fucking reason whatsoever to keep it. I mean, how many times can you rewatch the same 10 good Disney movies over and over again? Once you watch the MCU movies, if you don't already own them, I mean, it doesn't justify itself. They're not releasing enough new content. Everything great that Disney already owns is on Disney Plus. So the influx of new content, unlike, something like Netflix, they have new movies every month. Disney Plus, it's sort of like, here's what you're going to have for the next 10 years, and we'll occasionally add a new movie every once in a while. But when it comes to like original series, what do they have on there? The Mandalorian? So yeah, the only reason I'm keeping Disney Plus right now is because I get it for free for the next year through my phone service. But other than that, I wouldn't keep that. When it comes to all my favorite Disney movies, guess what? They're all back there. If I want to watch them, I'll go watch them. So yeah, you have no reason to keep Disney Plus. Unless you own none of those movies and you want to rewatch the same Disney movies over and over. There's just not enough variety for me. All right. Come on, chat update. Come on. I want the Jeopardy music on here as I wait for this thing to update. All right, the next one comes from Max Nigerbauer. I think I said that right. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Windtalkers? I think it's one of the best war movies ever, and one of the best Nicolas Cage movies ever. I wish I could say more about the movie Windtalkers. I don't recall a lot about it. I don't remember anything about it. I'm sorry. Like I love me some war movies, but that's one I don't recall. Yeah, that's. I guess I should go back and rewatch that. Yeah, I just remember like I don't remember anything about it. I'm not even gonna lie. I remember nothing about Windtalkers. I know I've watched it one time, probably at like 2:00 in the morning on cable, but I don't recall any details about it. John, should I watch Con Air? That's like saying, John, should I breathe? Yes, you should watch Con Air. One of the best films ever made. Speaking of Nicolas Cage, go watch it right now. Cyrus the Virus. What an amazing movie. What an amazing movie. The best guilty pleasure movie ever made. Hey, John, who would you cast as the Tiger King in the Tiger King movie? Didn't they already announce somebody that they were planning on? I think David Spade would be good, but didn't they have an announcement of someone they were casting already? I don't... It was a pretty good casting choice, and I just cannot remember off the top of my head. Put the bunny back in the box. Absolutely. One of the best lines ever given. John, are you excited for the Sopranos prequel film? Yeah, I'm a huge fan of The Sopranos. I didn't enjoy the last season as much as I was hoping I would, but yeah, I am excited for this prequel film. Also, I'm more excited because they announced a while back Michael Mann was actually working on a prequel to Heat, and I think that would be a phenomenal movie. And I love me some Heat. I love heist movies, and I'm waiting for that. Nick Cage, yes, Nick fucking Cage as the Tiger King, yes. Nick Cage's Joe Exotic would be a dream come true. I just thinking about it makes me laugh, and please give me that now. Christian Baller, thanks for the super chat, Christian. Thoughts on Joe Dirt? It's my favorite childhood movie, and it was Nick Cage's Tiger King. Yes. Yeah, I like Joe Dirt. My younger brother loves that film, but here's a fun story about Joe Dirt. Two of the first DVDs I ever owned when I got a PS2 were Joe Dirt and Jurassic Park 3. And I remember watching Joe Dirt over and over again, and I love how it has a parody scene of Silence of the Lambs with Buffalo Bill. I love that. Buffalo Bob, I think is his name in the movie. Just, I love it. Yeah, so Joe Dirt's good. And now they made a sequel to Joe Dirt, and I never watched it, nor will I probably ever. The next one comes from Landon L. What do you recommend I do on a depressing day? It just depends, man. It just depends. Sometimes you can lay in the fetal position and cry for hours. But what I would recommend doing is go outside for a walk. You got to go outside for a walk. Put on a podcast, something you like to listen to, and go for a walk. Or you can come join one of my live streams and look at my stupid face and maybe feel better about your life. But in all reality, just get out, get some fresh air, man. Maybe do some push-ups, listen to some Hans Zimmer music, whatever gets the blood flowing. That's my recommendation to you. John, can I get a shout out for the class of 2020? Well, I hit my elbow on that. Yeah, man. Shout out to you, Lee. Sorry that this year sucked for you, but hey, at least you're done with high school. Who cares, right? Like, it's over. Now you can live your life. All right. The next one comes from Tara Reid as Carol Baskins. Carol Baskin. Yeah, that would be good. I guess you could put a little more prosthetics on her face, but I think that would be okay. Tara Reid can't act though. That's the problem, unfortunately. All right, guys, I'm going to take a few more questions before I go. And if you guys want to play the segment, Pick the Flick, let me know. Give the video a thumbs up because it does help that YouTube algorithm. And we can play it. If not, we don't have to. If you guys have if you have something better to do, let me know. But I do appreciate all 367 of you currently watching the live stream right now. It's much appreciated. John, according to who has the worst career downfall, Nicolas Cage or John Travolta? Nicolas Cage, definitely not. I mean, he makes for every 50 movies he makes every week, he usually pops out one good one. John Travolta definitely has the worst career by far. I mean, the fucking fanatic. Do I need to say anything else? No, I do not. The fanatic. Not even Nicolas Cage would do that. No, God. I hope Freddy Krueger comes and cuts your head off and your head rolls into the street and a truck drives over it. Fucking great. John, can you do an Al Pacino impression? I guess. Is that what you want? I can do it. Hoo-ha, motherfucker. How about I give you a pack of bubblegum and show you how to chew it? Now, do you want my Tony Montana impression from Scarface, Al Pacino? I can do that as well, but it's not very good. Yeah. Her womb is so polluted, man. She can't even have little babies, okay? Fly, pelican, fly. It's terrible. You guys know it's terrible. All right, the next one comes from Buffalo Bill. Now, can I read this question as Buffalo Bill? I would like to. Hey, John, can you help me move a couch? Oh, yeah, she was a big old fat lady, wasn't she? Yeah, you got to put it in there. Oh. Yeah, I could help you move a couch. Sure, why not? Never help someone move a couch. That's my recommendation if you guys want to survive. Dylan Peter, thanks for the Streamlabs donation. Hey, John, how many push-ups can you do in a row without stopping right now? And what's your longest ever? I can do 247 push-ups without stopping in a row. I've done it. Actually, that's a lie. I've never tested that. I don't know. I do not know how many push-ups I can do in a row. It just sounds monotonous even thinking about it. I don't know. I don't know how many push-ups I could do. I do remember this though. We did at the gym, we put 135 pounds, which is a 45-pound plate on each side of the barbell. And we saw how many times we could rep that out doing good reps. And I think I did I want to say 57 reps or something along those lines. But never any push-ups. The thing about push-ups that make push-ups hard, it's not that my muscles get fatigued in this area. It's that all the blood starts going to my face because I'm looking down, that it feels like my eyeballs want to pop out of the sockets. That was always my thing about push-ups. All right, guys. Hang on a second here. All right. I'm going to play the segment, Pick the Flick, and if you guys don't know what that is, watch this really shitty, cringe-inducing intro, and then I'll tell you what the segment about Pick the Flick is. So don't go anywhere, watch this segment, and then you guys get to decide which movie we talk about in the segment called Pick the Flick. Pick the Flick! Yay! I'm sorry. All right, so this is how the segment goes for Pick the Flick. If you guys didn't already know, what you guys do is you guys get to pick which shelf back there and which movie I talk about, and this is how you do it. This is shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3, shelf 4. So you tell me what shelf, and then you pick from the left or from the right how many movies in, and that's the random movie that I pick. So if you want to say shelf 1, 47 movies in from the left, that is which one I will pick and talk about it randomly. So if you guys want to leave some coordinates down below, go for it. And I'll pick a few random movies and we'll talk about it. Hopefully they're not terrible, because it feels like we've been really negative in this live stream. I just feel like I've been tearing movies apart. Let's have some positivity on this live stream. All right. I'll take a YouTube member recommendation here. By the way, thank you guys for all the new YouTube members who have joined me. And if you guys want to become join the membership here on this channel, which I can see your cool name, you guys get access to like special mini flick trip videos I make just for YouTube members and Patreon members. Click that join button down below. All right, the first one comes from Rob K. Second row, second from the left. Okay, let's do it. Second row, second from the left. We have Castaway, starring Tom Hanks. I find this movie highly rewatchable, and many people, and I don't know anyone who could watch this movie as many times as I have. For some odd reason, I love it. I like movies that have characters in extreme isolation. It's sort of relaxing to watch someone just being stuck in one place. And it's sort of soothing when you watch this movie. And he's stuck on this island for 5 years with nothing to talk to but a volleyball. And I kind of relate to that, because for many years I had no one to talk to besides a plastic little skeleton named Tiny Todd. Loved this movie, watched it many times. I love the ending to this movie, where his character is sort of at a crossroads in life and he can pick and choose where to go. I love that. And it's so well made. And you got to appreciate Tom Hanks in this movie. He lost a whole bunch of weight to make it look like he was starving to death on an island. And by the way, this movie made me want to drink coconut milk. That's all I'm saying. Okay. The next one comes from charismatic character. Thanks for the super chat, man. Row 2, 7th from the left. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've talked about this a little bit earlier in the live stream. I've said that I don't love this movie as much as I once did, and that's true. It has a lenticular cover though. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I almost bought this on 4K like 20 times, and then after rewatching it again on Netflix, I was like, I don't want it on 4K right now. I think I'm gonna wait. If I see it at like a Black Friday sale, which we probably won't have a Black Friday sale this year, but I would buy it for like $6. But yeah, I still like the soundtrack to Inception. I like a lot of things about it, but I just don't love the movies as much as I used to. All right. The next one comes from Night King 01. First row, third from the left. All right. Oh, yeah. Bad Lieutenant. If you haven't seen this movie and you like Nick Cage just being batshit crazy, this is my flick pick recommendation to you. Go watch this right fucking now. Bad Lieutenant was one of the best theater experiences I've ever had in my entire life, and I'll share that with you now if you're ready to hear it. We went to an art house theater to watch Bad Lieutenant. In this art house theater, there were a lot of older people in there. I would say like 60 plus years old, because that's what old people do. They go to art house theaters to watch movies on a Tuesday afternoon because it has cheap popcorn. And me and my friend went there. And keep in mind, we love dark comedies. We pick up on the Nick Cage nuances that are in films that only certain people laugh at, including myself. And we laughed like hyenas for 2 hours during this entire movie. And everyone else in the theater looked at us like we were a couple of fucking morons, because I don't think they understood it was supposed to be funny, but it was. And especially the one I've never laughed this hard in my life. The scene where Nick Cage, they open up a door and Nick Cage is behind the door, just all strung out on coke, and he takes this old lady's oxygen tube and squeezes it. I remember laughing so hard I thought I was going to die in the theater. Bad Lieutenant is... Oh, I love it. I love it so much. All right. Let's take a few more here. Let's see. Take another YouTube member because. All right, Russ Rogers, third shelf, middle movie. All right. Let's see what's technically middle movie here. All right. Tron Legacy. The thing about Tron Legacy for me is it's sort of one of those style over substance movies. I think it's so well directed and filmed and visually just looks amazing, especially when you look at it on Blu-ray. But the story is really lacking. And there's not much to it. It's sort of like, this is one of those movies that sort of blows its load in the first act. There's so much fun in the first act where you have young Flynn's son, whatever his name is. He's on his like motorcycle and he like hacks into the computer system and he skydives off the side of the building. And then he goes to Flynn's arcade and it's still really fun. And you have the light cycle fight in the first act of the movie. Then after that, not much happens, right? It sort of gets boring. But I really enjoy the soundtrack to this movie. I think that was one of the best things about it. And visually, just a really fun movie to look at. All right, I will take a few more. Let's see. Let's pick a good one here. I'm doing one more. I'll do one more back there for the flick the pick segment. Okay. All right. Let's do this one here. Top shelf, 14th from the left. Okay, that'll be the last one, guys, so don't ask anymore. Top shelf, 14th from the left. All right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Hey, what are you doing over there? Hey. You watching Four Brothers or something? Yeah, Four Brothers. This was sort of like a sleeper hit. I remember when this movie, by the way, it's still in the plastic. Why is it in the plastic? I think someone sent this to me a couple years ago in the mail. But anyway, I've seen this movie multiple times and I enjoy it. For many years, they were going to make a sequel to Four Brothers. And I think by the time the sequel came out, they would have had to call it Three Brothers because one of them kind of whatever. But yeah, I enjoyed this. And I remember this came out and this was at a time period. It didn't feel like a lot of other big movies were coming out. And this did really well at the box office. It was sort of like a big hit. It surprised everyone, including the studio. So that's what I remember about Four Brothers. Still enjoy it. Good. It's a decent Mark Wahlberg movie. All right, guys, I'm going to take a few more questions, and I'm going to wrap up this live stream. So if you guys have any good, juicy questions, ask them now. And I will wait on those juicy questions. Scott Sullivan, I was lukewarm on Inception the first time I saw it, but I love it more and more on a rewatch. Awesome, man. Yeah, there's a lot of movies that I sort of just liked the first time I watched them, and rewatching them again, I actually enjoyed them more. One of those was surprisingly Mad Max Fury Road. I remember the first time I watched it, and I was like, I like it, but I don't know if I love it, and I don't know what it is about it. But yeah, after rewatching it over and over, it's one of my favorite films of all time. And the same thing about the movie Drive with Ryan Gosling. First time I watched it, I was like, I don't know what it is I like about this, but I also don't know what I hate about it either. So, but that's one of those movies I rewatched again and loved it. John Gomez. John, what's a better racing movie, Talladega Nights or Ford v Ferrari? Probably Ford v Ferrari. But if you want to talk about a comedy movie, Talladega Nights is actually really funny. I forgot to mention that earlier. That's one of those movies that actually makes me laugh. Like, I love the little kid in Talladega Nights where he's like, I'm all jacked up a Mountain Dew and I'm ready to scissor kick someone. Landon L, thanks for the super chat. Types of people you dislike at the gym. Just loud, obnoxious asshole douchebags who feel the need to grunt every 3 seconds that they curl their 15-pound dumbbell. Typically, that's the only type of person I really hate at the gym. Yeah, I would say that's it. Charismatic character. Do you still buy ice cream from the ice cream man? I don't know if that's in a reference to something, but I do not. But I have noticed a lot of ice cream trucks out right now selling ice cream. There's always a large group of people buying them. I've seen that around town lately. Speaking of ice cream, my favorite ice cream, what I buy and what I covet is I buy these things from the grocery store, and it's M&M ice cream sandwiches. And it's like 2 cookies, like M&M cookies, and then in between that they have like vanilla ice cream. Oh, so good. I love it. Maddo, thanks for the Streamlabs donation, Maddo. What is the most magical and mystical movie you've ever seen? The most magical and mystical movie I've ever seen. How do I define what... I don't even know what magical mystical really means. But I would say, for me, have you ever watched a movie for the first time? Like, it's a brand new movie. You've never seen it. No one's ever talked about it. And you know instantly, like 20 minutes into the movie, that this movie was made for me. Like, if you can go into my brain and take my thoughts and make a movie out of that. Have you ever watched a movie like that? So when it comes to me, that movie is Nightcrawler. Like, I know I've said that 100 times, but Nightcrawler feels like it was made for me. It never gets old to me. Instantly rewatchable. So anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you guys for joining me once again for another live show. Thank you guys for all the great questions, the donations, the super chats, the Streamlab donations, and thanks to everyone who joined me recently as a YouTube member or a new Patreon member. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast, the extra special vlog videos I make just for you guys. And look out for a couple new videos coming this week. And if you haven't already, please go watch it. It's over on my main channel. It's the brand new Flick Trip episode, which I think you guys will enjoy. If you like Flick Trips, this one is probably the most epic one I've ever made. So go watch that over in the Flick Pick channel where we talk about Top Gun. And before I go, we got one last, at the last second, one last super chat here. Charismatic character says, John, who should have done an Expendables movie? I think everyone I wanted to be in an Expendables movie was. It just felt like most of the time they were sort of wasted in the movie with a really bad script. It's like, yeah, everyone I wanted to see in those movies were in those movies. They needed better scripts. I think if they make another Expendables movie, you'd probably see like The Rock show up or something like that. But anyway, guys, as always, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys are staying safe. Leave your thoughts, your opinions on the stream after it's uploaded. And once again, if you can give it a like, it's much appreciated. It does help put this in front of more people's eyeballs. And I appreciate you guys watching, and stay safe. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.